All right, welcome in. We are back for another episode of the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast. I'm Mike Guido. That's Dalton Brown. It is great to have you here on another Monday evening. Dalton, I can't lie, I've been better, but how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I mean, this is our first show since the season actually started, isn't it?
It is. No, I think we did. No, we did have a show when the season started, I believe.
Okay. Well,
We
either
did.
way, it's been such a blast having baseball back.
Yeah,
It's been awesome.
it has been great. We're about 2 weeks in, and it's been really fun. Teams are already, I think, starting to hit the panic button. I know, if you live in New York, I know that that's certainly something that you're doing right now. So we have plenty of stuff to go over today. We'll talk about some of those losing streaks. The Yankees, the Mets, the Astros are part of that group as well, of teams that have just not been able to get it going. 5+ game losing streaks at the moment. How concerned should all these teams be? That's something we'll talk about in a little bit. The ABS system, I mean, I don't want to spoil anything, but it has been quite the addition to baseball. I haven't heard very many complaints about it. We'll discuss that. That's coming up a little bit later as well. Plus, we have an update on where our team draft stands at the moment. So we'll come up with that as well. Also, the City Connect jerseys that came out. I did this on my radio program last week, but yeah, I've got some thoughts on some of the new City Connect unis that came out for this coming season. We'll discuss that.
I'm a big uniform, Mike. I'm a big uniform guy, Mike. So I'm excited to go with you.
I'm with you, and I have a picture of them up here already. And we'll discuss. And there are, like I said, there are some that I really, really like, and there's also like the couple that I really hate. So
I'm very interested to see if you and I have the same ideas toward these things, or if we're in opposite camps, because it could go either way.
There's two of them that I despise, that I think are like drop dead awful. So we'll see if those link up, right? But first, before we do anything, the way we start off every show is we rant about our own teams: Yankees, Dodgers. Sorry, not sorry. So Dalton, again, you are the 2-time defending champs, as your hat thoroughly explains. Go ahead, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a whole lot to rant about, right? There's plenty to rave about right now for the Dodgers. It's been nice to see them start and look like the team that everybody thinks they're going to be. They had the one series against the Guardians where they lost 2 out of 3, and they kind of just got dragged into guards ball, if you will. They got just kind of dragged into a couple low scoring games. Other than that, they've just been handling business. The bullpen improvement that we thought we might see from guys just regressing back positively has been very real. Edwin Diaz had the one not so great blown save. Other than that, he's been really solid. Tanner Scott has been lights out, looks like his old self. Blake Trinan looks great. Vesia looks great. So the bullpen being really good has been a really big breath of fresh air after last year. The offense is coming along. It's been a little uneven, but Andy Pages has been arguably the best hitter in baseball to this point, which has really helped. Shohei is starting to find his power stroke again. He's hit home runs the last 2 days. Kyle Tucker kind of chugging along, hasn't been great yet, but he doesn't look bad either. He's kind of just been figuring it out. In general, they look really good. They look like the team they're supposed to be. I'm certain that there are doldrums coming down the road, but at 11-4, best record in baseball, handling business night in and night out, it's been fun. I can't really complain.
Yeah. And really, this is kind of, I think, what a lot of people expected out of the Dodgers. This is kind of the team that we were expecting, and not, like you said, not everybody's firing on all cylinders yet. And that'll come. I mean, there are certainly times where guys are going to get hot throughout the year, and it was really mainly about what their pitching staff was going to do, right? Especially in their bullpen. If they could piece together their bullpen, they got, rebound seasons out of guys like Tanner Scott, the Blake Trinans of the world. Like, if they were able to get, kind of those guys back on their footing, plus the addition of Edwin Diaz, they were going to be still, again, a force to be reckoned with. So certainly something that is worth looking out for. They play tonight against the Mets. And again, like I said, I have no real concern about the Dodgers. I think they're going to be certainly good. I don't. I mean, I don't want to take anything away from the Dodgers either, because I genuinely do think they're the best team in baseball. But do you think that part of what's gotten them off to a pretty decent start is maybe, I don't know, what would you have considered their schedule to be a little bit on the lighter side to start the year, Dalton? Like, playing the Guardians, then you had 3 against the Nationals, and then the Rangers. Like, would you consider that, like, I mean, again,
Not really. To be honest with you, not really. I mean, they've really only played one team so far that doesn't have playoff hopes, which is Washington. I mean, I think the Diamondbacks, I think, fancy themselves a team that can make a playoff run. The Guardians won their division last year and have been one of the better teams in the American League so far. The Rangers seem like they're playing pretty good ball overall. The Blue Jays are not playing well, but I mean, this is a team that was just in the World Series last year, So, no, I mean, I think their schedule's been middling, I guess. They've played a couple decent opponents. They've, certainly, like, Washington was like kind of the cakewalk we expected. Like, they blow them out Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday fall behind, and the Nationals bullpen is the Nationals bullpen, and the Dodgers just kind of overtake them eventually. No, I mean, I think the schedule's been middle of the road, and they're just handling it. This is going to be a fun next few days. The Mets are coming in ice cold, and I'm hoping that we can add to that misery, but certainly the Mets are a formidable lineup of talent. So we'll see what happens.
Yep. Home against the Mets for the next 3 days, and then a day off on Thursday, and then you get a four-game series in Colorado against John's Rockies. Let's go Rockies, he says. Only 5.5 back, Dalton. Listen, it's still anybody's ball game in the NL West, including those Rocks.
Hey, it sure is, man. It's early. It's early. And you know what? I'll say this. The Rockies don't look anything like they did last year. Like, they seem more competitive. I'll give them that.
Yeah. Well, listen, maybe they can piece something together for John's sake. Okay, so now it's time. I like, Dalton, you knew how excited I was about the beginning of the year, the way that it started for the Yankees, right? Like, I was even texting you. I was like, listen, like, Cam Schlittler looks like the man. Like, he looks real, and he still does look really good. Like, let's not pin it on Cam Schlittler, but I mean, it's really hard to, like, be happy about where we're at now. The Yankees started the season at 7-1 and now are 8-7.
Yeah.
Like, they're 1-6 in the last 7 games. They've lost 5 straight. Like, and to be honest with you, there is more than a reasonable argument to be made that they should have lost 7 straight. If Ahmed Rosario did not hit 2 home runs against the Athletics in the first game of that series, then we'll be losers of 7 straight. They were not great in that game. Losing 2 out of 3 at home to the A's and then getting swept on the Rose by Tampa Bay is just unbelievable. I can't even begin to fathom how unacceptable that is. And really the problem is, and I know that, so many people have been, upset that a lot of the problem last year, at least late in the postseason, was pitching, right? I mean, you just couldn't get anybody out. And I think part of that, like I said, had to do with how hot Toronto got at the end of the year and all of that. And the complaint is that, well, what are we doing to fix our bullpen, right? What was the move that we were going to make to really bolster the back end of that bullpen? They like David Bednar, they like Camilo Doval, but I think a lot of what the Yankee people expected was to, and Mike Trout just robbed Randall Grichuk of a home run. That's great. I I think what a lot of people would suspect is that's going to self-correct. And for the first part of the year, it did. Here's the thing that really is irking me. The Yankees can't hit, Dalton. They can't hit. Like, it has been brutal the way, and all of these, like, media heads and all, like, they've all said, Yankee fans are just getting greedy now. Like, come on. This was the number one offense in the sport. And I hear you. I do. But at the same time, like, there's such clear holes in this lineup. It is beyond. Okay. Trent Grisham has not shown a lot. Okay. And I know that, like, advanced metrics and everything like that, he doesn't look terrible, but the numbers are not there to support him right now. Right. Aaron Judge has gotten off to a relatively slow start for his standards, but he'll be fine. I'm not even really worried about him. But Jazz Chisholm's been awful to start the season. Ryan McMahon is an automatic out. Austin Wells is an automatic out. Jose Caballero is an automatic out. Like, you've got like 4 guys in the lineup right now that you just simply do not trust at all. Your lineup at this point is 3 guys long, maybe 4 guys long. Outside of Judge, Bellinger, Ben Rice, and Giancarlo Stanton, nobody else in the lineup's hitting. And again, even their streaks go up and down. And this is a team that had one of the best starts for their starting pitching of any team in baseball this year. Max Fried's been great. Schlittler's been great. Will Warren has been great. Like, they're getting quality innings. Ryan Weathers had an 8-inning, 1-run start the other day against the, what was it? Was that the game against the Rays? And lost. Like, how is that even possible? So I'm at the point now, Dalton, where, like, all of the worries that I had before the season, and I even told you this, I was not worried about their pitching. I really wasn't. I was worried about how short this lineup is right now. It's short. If Bellinger doesn't play to an 800, like an 830 OPS player, if Ben Rice does not translate the same way that he does, and even with those guys performing at the level that they are, they still are having trouble manufacturing runs. And against a team, and might I say, when we previewed the season, against a team like the A's who have one of the worst pitching staffs in all of baseball. So it's been tough the last few days, Dalton. For the last like week or so, it's been pretty hard. So
yeah, I mean, like, I'll say this: it's never fun to go 1-6 over a 7-game stretch, especially when those 7 games are against the Marlins, A's, and who was it this weekend?
The Rays.
Tampa, right? Teams that are not expected to be in the playoffs, right? I mean, I think your comment about the Dodgers schedule, I would say, is actually significantly more true about the Yankees schedule than ours. Right. And what's, so that in that sense, it's frustrating, right? I mean, you have a home series against Oakland. That's a series you expect to win, period. Like, you kind of, if you're going to be the team that you want to be, that's the type of series you have to win. And the schedule is going to get tougher the second half of this month, right? I mean, they go on the road to Boston. They go on the road to Houston. They go on the road to Texas. They got, kind of a different type of road trip coming up. But I think the encouraging thing for me, Mike, is the bullpen has the lowest FIP in baseball so far this season for the Yankees. Like, the bullpen, in terms of the expectation, should be really good. The starting pitching, like you talked about, has been better, than has exceeded expectations so far. And most importantly for the Yankees, the starting pitching has stayed healthy, right? Like, every week that you go this part of the season without a pitching injury is a blessing. And I think,
let me just interject really quick, just to add on to that point. Rodon and Cole look like they're ahead of schedule also.
Yeah.
So throw that on top of that also.
Right. So, because I mean, the frustrations with the offense are real, right? I think, one guy in particular you mentioned, Trent Grisham, like, look, some of this is Trent Grisham, the guy he was last year with the Yankees, is not who he's been throughout his career, right? So, like, some of this is expected regression with a guy like him. Some of it with Ryan McMahon, who hit in Colorado his whole career. Like, yeah, this might be a little bit of expected regression for a guy like that. Obviously Judge will be fine. I think we know what Cody Bellinger is at this point in his career. And I think in general, we know that this Yankees offense will be good. But yeah, I mean, look, they're 20th right now in WRC plus like in baseball. So it's been a below average offense so far. Batting average wise, and I know average isn't the end all be all, but they're batting 202 as a team this year. Like that's tough. Like you're just not getting enough guys on base to create big innings like you'd like to. But I mean, we're talking about 15 games. It's early. Like if you were to offer me over under 19 and a half best offense in baseball by the end of the year with the Yankees, right? Like they're going to finish better than that. But I think, so I think if you look at it holistically and you say, okay, we're 8-7, the bats haven't come alive, the pitching's been better than expected, like not quite where we want to be. If you look at it that way, it doesn't feel so bad. I think part of the reason that it's so frustrating right now is just the optics of the horrible week the Yankees just had.
I mean,
the good news for the Yankees,
there was a stretch of like 17 and a third innings where they got one hit. Like it's just insane.
And I mean, as a fan, that's like the most frustrating thing to watch, right? The good news for the Yankees is you get the Angels and Royals at home this week. And like the Royals are decent, but like again, right? That's a week you should go 4-2, 5-2, depending on how many games they have. Like if you see that from them, it's like, all right, we're fine. Like it's worth noting. And I think, fans, especially in New York, I think are quick to forget this because they're so emotional about their teams. Like it is so early. I'll just leave you with that. It is so early.
Well, I was talking about this with somebody earlier today where I said, you know what? Listen, if the skid, let's spin this positively, like you said, right? If the skid is happening now, I'd rather it happen now. You know what I mean? Like,
and Mike, it's not going to be the last skid either. Like it's right. Like there are going to be more skids. That's just how this goes. The Dodgers are going to have skids. That's it's part of the game.
Right. I get it. I want to ask you one more thing about the Yankees because Aaron Boone has gotten a lot of criticism over his entire tenure with the Yankees. Let's not make any mistake of that. Ben Rice, I believe at this point, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Ben Rice's OPS, I believe, is around 1250 at the moment to start the season. I believe that's the best in baseball.
1256.
Qualified hitters.
Why I don't have the list of. Go ahead.
Why is he not in the lineup every day? So, this is and he's getting a majority of starts. But today against the Angels, because Yusei Kikuchi, a lefty, is pitching, they start Paul Goldschmidt over Ben Rice. I don't understand that. I don't get it. And I get Goldschmidt over the course of the last number of years has crushed lefty pitching. But you're dealing with the highest qualified hitter in baseball right now in terms of OPS. And he's not in the lineup today?
Yeah, I mean, I will say, this is the Yankees' 16th game. Ben Rice has played in 14 of them. You know what I mean? So, they are treating him like an everyday player. But I'll say this, because it's the same thing I've said about, Kerry Carpenter in Detroit. I do think teams in this era of analytics and everything else can be a little bit too heavy-handed with the, platoon split stuff. The way a guy like Ben Rice gets better at hitting left-handed pitching is to face it more.
It's right. Thank you.
You've got to give him those opportunities. And the best left-handed hitters in the game, you think about guys like Juan Soto, you think about guys like Kyle Tucker, Shohei Ohtani, right? They're in there every day against lefties. And sometimes their splits are not quite the same against lefties, but the more exposure you give him to that, the better chance you have of him improving in that area. Whereas, I get it. If you want to say, hey, I want to pick my spots to rest Ben Rice when a lefty's on the mound, that's fine, right? If you're saying, hey, I want his off days to coincide with, one out of every 3 or 4 lefties that we face, that's fine. But if what they're doing is platooning him, I completely agree with you. I think that's got to stop. Mike, one other thought I had before we go to everything else, this whole Jazz Chisholm thing, how did that hit you? Because this guy not understanding the rules of the game, after I saw an interview with him a couple days earlier where he was asked, hey, speak when I say a player's name that's better than you. And the names Juan Soto were spoken, and he's just refusing to speak up because he's trying to suggest that he's the best player in baseball. I get being delusionally confident. That's part of who you are as a player. But like, it's got like, if I'm a Yankee fan, he's the guy that I'm most annoyed with, because to me, he's kind of he's the face of this, like, lack of focus, lack of knowing the right, like being in the right place at the right time. Like, and some of that falls on Boone, which you and I have talked about over the last couple of years. But also a guy like Jazz Chisholm coming out and like not seeming to take it that seriously, that pissed me off. And I'm not a Yankee fan.
Yeah. I mean, look, I think as far as like Jazz is concerned, I so badly at the beginning of the season, I've even said, like, I want him to be a Yankee for a while. Like, I love the fact that he's got some 30-30. I love the fact that he can manufacture runs, especially on the bases. I can appreciate that. And I think there are like the good parts of Jazz where, he's, the guy's got a smile on his face all the time and he wears 15 chains and all. Like I feel like the Yankees need some of that as such like a buttoned up organization. That's the positive part of it. Stuff like that drove me nuts. Like, it's that sort of like cocky ignorance that I can't stand with him.
Well, but especially when you look at what's ended the last two seasons for the Yankees, that's what it's felt like. And I don't want to say cocky ignorance, right? But it's been a lack of attention to detail.
Right. Well, and that's the thing too, is that, you look at a guy like Jazz and, it's one thing if he's, hitting 300 with a couple homers and he's got an 800 OPS or whatever. Like, he's been non-existent offensively for the Yankees. Absolutely non-existent. Those kinds of mistakes defensively, A, can't happen, and B, can't be defended. Like, it can't. You just have to accept the fact that you screwed up in that spot. Like, that's the part that drove me. Like, if Jazz is a free agent at the end of the season, something like that really, unless he and again, like you said, it is super early. He could take off for the rest of the year, but something like that makes teams talk. Like, is that what I want? Like that could hurt. If this is the trend we're going to see from him, then he's going to hurt his chances at a big contract. And he's going to get one. If everything rolls right for him, he'll get one in the offseason.
Oh, he will. He will. But to me, like, I think where it'll affect a guy like that, I think it changes the teams that might sign you. Like, to me, when I see that type of stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't think the Dodgers are going to be interested.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
Just as an example, right? Whereas, like to me, that's how you end up in San Diego. That's how you end up in these organizations that are kind of like throw stuff at the wall and see. Like, that's how you end up with the Angels, right? Teams that just want to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Like, if you want to be a part of a winning organization, they're going to look at that and be like, you know what I mean?
Well, right. And I think when the Yankees brought him in, they loved him. They loved Jazz. And you knew it, right? A couple years ago when they brought in Jazz Chisholm, all they were asked, right? Because the Yankees have this reputation of being, like the no fun Yankee, shaved face, like the whole bit. They're like, did it bother you that you had to come here? And he's like, no. He's like, they're telling me that they want me to be who I am. And I'm like, okay, like, that was refreshing to hear as a Yankee fan. It really was.
For sure.
But now he just looks stupid. So it's tough to defend him at this point now.
Mike, not to change the subject abruptly on you, but it's the most insane thing happening in baseball right now as we're speaking. I want to just read you Garrett Crochet's line tonight in Minnesota. Garrett Crochet pitching at Target Field tonight. 1.2 innings, 9 hits, 11 runs, 10 of them earned.
Wow.
3 walks, 2 homers.
God.
The Minnesota Twins are up 11-0 on the Red Sox in the second inning. Just putting that out there, because I know we're going to talk about the Red Sox and at some point here, but my goodness.
Victor Caratini and Ryan Kreidler are the ones that took him deep earlier today. A line like that on somebody like Crochet is genuinely shocking. You never expect.
If you're a Red Sox fan, you almost hope he's tipping his pitches when you see.
Yeah, right. All right. Before we get into anything else, let's get into a score update. Yankees right now up on the Angels 4-2 in the top of the fourth. Will Warren's given up 2 runs here in the top of the fourth. But Judge hit a bomb to get that game going. 456 feet to left field. Aaron Judge hit one, and then Caballero hit one earlier today too. Diamondbacks are up 7-1 on the Orioles in Baltimore. That's in the bottom of the sixth. The Phillies have a 9-2 lead over the Cubs. That's in Philadelphia. The Phillies have had a bit of a rough start to this season also. They're 7-8 to start the year, but they're right now up 9-2 on Chicago in Philly. That's in the bottom of the sixth. The Pirates right now with a 5-1 lead over the Nationals in Pittsburgh. That's in the bottom of the sixth. Marlins and Braves tied at 3 in the bottom of the fourth in Atlanta. As you said, Dalton, the Twins with an 11-0 lead over the Red Sox in Minnesota in the bottom of the second. Garrett Crochet getting shelled, excuse me, by the Twins. Guardians and Cardinals tied at 1 in the top of the third. That's in St. Louis. The Mariners beat the Astros today 6-2 in Seattle. Getting the win in that game is George Kirby. George Kirby, 7 2/3, 2 earned, 7 hits in that game with 6 Ks. Mike Burrows taking the loss in that game as well.
That's the eighth loss in a row for the Astros. Completes a 4-game sweep by Seattle of the Astros in Seattle.
Yep. We'll hit on that next in a minute. The Rangers and the Athletics have a game tonight, 9:40. That is in Sacramento. Nathan Eovaldi and Luis Severino. That game's at 9:40. And then the Mets and Dodgers. That's Chavez Ravine, David Peterson, Justin Robleski on the bump for that game tonight. All right. Before we get into the Mets, let's talk about the Astros, right? We just kind of brought them up. They've been putrid to start the season, 6-11 right now. That's, what did you say it was? Their 8th straight loss and 9 out of their last 10. So losing 2 out of 3 to the A's, getting swept by the Rockies in Colorado, and then getting swept in Seattle by the Mariners in a 4-game series. I mean, listen, this is just, it's just bad, right? I don't know how else to describe it. I mean, it's just bad.
Yeah, it's been and with them, it couldn't be more clear like what the culprit is. It's the pitching. They've allowed 107 runs this season, Mike. The next most any team in baseball has allowed is 88 by the Washington Nationals. So you've allowed almost 20 more runs than anybody else in baseball this season. And the disheartening part of that for the Astros, when you look through the rest of their stats, they've scored the most runs in baseball. They are the highest scoring offense in baseball, and yet at 6-11, they have the worst record in baseball and have lost 8 in a row. That's, I mean, like they're getting what they wanted out of Yordan Alvarez and that offense, but I don't know where they turn to pitching-wise, Mike. Like, they're like Garrett Cole, Justin Verlander, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier's now hurt. None of it, like that old Astros pitching staff that you feared is gone.
Yeah.
And pitching in a bandbox like they do too. This could get really ugly for Houston, Mike, and this could reach a point. I'm talking within the next month or two where they're trading away pieces if this doesn't turn around, because the amount of runs they're giving up, the lack of strikes they're throwing, it's not a good look.
Yeah. I want to point this out too. Hunter Brown's been outstanding. Hunter Brown's got an 0.84 ERA right now in 2 starts. He's been really good. Mike Burrows has a 5.63 ERA. Lance McCullers had a 5.87 ERA. Ryan Weiss has a 7.36 ERA. Christian Javier, 12.54 ERA. Tatsuya Imai has a 7.27 ERA. I mean, up and down the line right now, it is just terrible for them. Terrible. Yeah. Meanwhile, like you said, Jose Altuve has a 983 OPS. Christian Walker has a 936 OPS. Cam Smith has an 893 OPS. Yordan Alvarez, 1255. Carlos Correa is 780. Christian Vasquez 984. Like, they're hitting, like you said, they're hitting.
I mean, like from a WRC plus perspective, the Dodgers are number one right now at 143, but Houston's right behind them at 139. The next closest team is Atlanta at 123. Like, they've been right there with the Dodgers offensively in terms of what they're producing, and they've actually scored 4 more runs than the Dodgers this year. It's, if you're Houston, like, what makes that so disheartening is that your offense is not going to stay hot all year. Like, just ask a Yankee fan, right? Like, you haven't hit your offensive doldrums that you're going to yet. You're going to go cold at times. And if this is what your pitching staff is, especially, like, I mean, they better hope Hunter Brown stays healthy too.
Yeah.
Well, especially like the kind of velocity that guy has. He has some injury history.
Mm-hmm. Well, and that's the thing. I think we have to really talk about, you know, like you said, if there will be a point if this continues that they're just going to offload a lot of these pieces. They really are. Like, and that's like, what pieces do you have to get rid of? I mean, I'm stunned that Isaac Paredes is still on the team, first of all, but like, you're talking guys like Isaac Paredes, guys like Christian Walker, guys like, I mean, would it surprise you if Yordan Alvarez got dangled at least?
I think Alvarez, they'd have to be blown away. But like, I mean, Correa and Altuve, I could see those guys getting moved. Right. Like, I think they're more likely than Yordan. And I'm not saying I don't think we're there yet. You know, and they could turn around and start pitching better. But I mean, this is like, there were people preseason who thought the Astros were going to be like bad with a capital B, and they're looking that way so far.
Yeah. Well, listen, I definitely anticipated them taking a pretty decent step back. But this is not what I expected from their pitching staff. Speaking of, again, another team that that's having crazy struggles, the New York Mets, 7-9 right now. They're in last place in their division at the moment. They just got swept by the A's at Citi Field. Lost 2 out of 3 at home to the Diamondbacks. I mean, it's been a tough go of it for them. They've lost 5 straight. Before that, they had won 4 straight. But the Mets right now struggling in their own right. What do you make right now of the Mets? Are the Mets just like are they just all right? Like, is this what the Mets are?
I mean, I think, so you and I talked a lot preseason about the fact that the Mets, we at least commended them for making changes, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is offensively, it hasn't really worked. Like, I mean, the Yankees right now are 20th in WRC plus. The Mets are 22nd. Like, it's a very similar story. The Mets are top 10 both out of both starting pitching and bullpen and FIP. They've been pitching fine. Run prevention has not been a big issue for them. Yeah, they just haven't started hitting yet. And I say yet because we are 15 games in. But the optics, similar to with the Yankees, right? When you can't win games at home against the A's, like, it starts to kind of stink. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where things are at for them. And I think the thing that Mets fans are probably not thrilled about is just the timing of this trip out to LA too, right? Because you can be 7-12 in a hurry, and it's not just LA, right? After that, they go on the road to Wrigley for 4. Yeah. Or no, excuse me. After they go on the road to Wrigley for 3. So, like, this is a road trip for them where you kind of need to tread water. I don't want to say need because it's so early, right? But like, if all of a sudden they go out on this road trip and they go 1-5 and they're 6 games under 500, the voices are going to get loud, especially because Brandon Nimmo is hitting the cover off the ball in Texas. I don't know, man. It's so Mets. Like, yeah, but I will say I feel similarly about them to the Yankees, where like at the end of the day, the pitching has actually been pretty steady. They're just not hitting, and I do think that with time that will change.
Yeah, so just to give you an idea, again, I'll do the same thing I did with the Astros. Bo Bichette has a 593 OPS. Francisco Lindor has a 573 OPS. Marcus Semien has a 526. Brett Beatty has a 549. Jorge Polanco has a 565. I mean, just to give you an idea, for any baseball fan that doesn't really understand like OPS numbers, if you're in the 500s, you're not a Major League Baseball player. Like that's really, really horrible. Carson Benj is at 427.
Yeah.
Mark
Doesn't
Vientos
look
is at
ready.
688. Like, they have just been putrid offensively. Luis Roberts been fairly good for them. Francisco Alvarez has been fairly good for them. Juan Soto hasn't been healthy. So, it has been really tough for the Mets in that respect. But I don't know. I do think I agree. I think let me throw it to you this way. I mean, I'm definitely more confident in the Yankees and the Mets odds of turning it around than the Astros are.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
But I would say between the two New York teams, do you still feel more confident in the Yankees to hit their stride than the Mets are based on what you've seen?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Look, Mike, I think the Yankees are the better team. Like, I just do. I think they're more talented. I think they have the better starting pitching. I think they have the better bullpen. I think they have the better lineup. Like, I think the Yankees are the better team. So, like, yeah, I'm more. And the other thing for the Yankees too, like, I know we talked about the AL East being like this kind of big bad wolf going into the season.
Right.
The Blue Jays are a mess, both with injuries and with performance early in the season. Right.
They lost Cody Ponce already for the season.
Yeah, the Red Sox, like I mean, when Garrett Crochet is giving up 11 runs and you're already 6-9, it's not going well there either, right? So the Blue Jays and Red Sox coming out playing pretty terrible baseball to start the season. Right. If you're the Yankees, you're still tied for first place, even though you're not playing well. You're still exhaling, right? Like you're like at this point, I'm not on concern alert with Tampa hanging with you. Like, yeah, they're 8-7. They're tied with you for first right now. Their run differential is already -10. I'm not like they've got to prove it to me for a while, right? Same with Baltimore. Like they're playing like a 500 team. Like to me, I actually think that the AL East might be weaker than the NL East.
Wow, interesting.
Which I wouldn't have thought, but the Braves look pretty good.
The Braves do look good. Got to tell you.
And that makes a huge difference. Like we know what the Phillies are. The Braves look good. The Marlins look competitive. The Nationals are the Nationals.
Yeah. It's one way to describe them. Yeah, they're definitely the Nationals.
They're bad.
All right. Let's switch our attention to the ABS system here, its implementation into Major League Baseball. 2.5 weeks in. Listen, if you're not familiar, each team gets 2 challenges. And it's similar to how it works in some other sports, right? If you get it right, you keep them. You have essentially you have 2 chances to get it wrong. And once you get 2 wrong, you're done. You're out of them for the game. I'll be honest with you, Dalton. I'm not like a robo ump guy. I really am not. Like I genuinely like the fact that umpires are a part of baseball. Actual umpires are a part of baseball. Call me a traditionalist. Okay. But I think the ABS system is rock solid. I actually really, really, really like it. What are your thoughts on it right now? Like I said, about 2 weeks into the regular season, what do you think?
I think it's fascinating. I absolutely love it. Like it's, and I've been very critical of changes baseball has made the last few years that people who listen to the show have seen, but this one I think is being executed perfectly. Like, and I think they did the right thing by, letting it kind of marinate in the minors a little bit and spring training a little bit before bringing it to the bigs. And I think there are so many fascinating strategic conversations you can have around it that I've got like 3 bullet points on it that I think are fascinating. First one is I talked with a friend of mine who works in the Twins front office about how they're approaching it, because the Twins right now lead baseball in ABS challenges overturned, both from batters and from fielders. And, what I asked him, because I watch the Dodgers every night really religiously, and I've been driven nuts by how many pitches were not challenging because we want to save them for later in the game.
Right.
And you end up with the game ends and you still have one or two unused challenges. One of my biggest beliefs about ABS, and this is how the Twins are looking at it, and so it was really interesting to talk with somebody from the org about it. Like, to me, if at the end of the game you still have ABS challenges left, you didn't operate correctly. And the Twins have taken that approach where they are just really freely, both batters, catchers, really freely challenging stuff that they think should be challenged. As a result, they've seen the most overturned of anybody. I think especially in April, if I were a manager, I would be saying challenge everything right now. We'll figure out down the road what's working, what's not. For now, I want you challenging everything. If we run out early in the game, we run out early in the game. That's one overarching take that I have, is I think teams are being way too conservative with it. The second side of this, and this is kind of a different angle, but the second side of this that I think is really fascinating is we're learning a lot about catchers. Like, number one, framing is still valuable, but it's valuable in a different way. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. Austin Hedges of the Guardians. I watched one of the Guardians-Dodgers games last week. Austin Hedges of the Guardians was catching, and it was the game where Parker Messick carved up the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. And I was screaming at my television because over and over and over, pitches were an inch or two off the plate, getting called a strike, getting framed well by Hedges. Dodgers weren't challenging them. And I'm like, guys, we've got to challenge these pitches. Like, you got to make them earn it. Like, if you run out of challenges, you run out of challenges, but like, these are costing you outs. And I thought about it, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. This is where the framing is still valuable, because so many people said the framing is not going to be valuable anymore. The thing is, the framing works against the hitter too, right? If you're really good at framing a pitch, you're not just fooling the umpire potentially. You're also fooling the hitter into not challenging the pitch, right?
Right, yeah.
And even if the hitters are on to you, right, and they know, hey, Hedges is behind the plate today, we need to be challenging more because we know he's going to frame effectively. Well, now it's way more likely that your opponent is out of challenges in the fourth or fifth inning because of who you are as a catcher. And that can pay dividends down the line late in the game too. So that's another part of it that I find fascinating. Is one of the big concerns I heard from people in baseball that I thought was legitimate is, does this take away the defensive side of catching? Absolutely not. If anything,
No.
it highlights it.
I think it makes it more. Yeah. And listen, I was one of those people that thought, like, before this whole thing, I was like, I don't know, like that's really going to impact catchers in a way of like, all right, yeah, framing is just not going to be as big of a deal anymore. Just because, again, like you're going full robo umpire. If it's not in the box, it's not a strike. You know what I mean? The thing that is driving me crazy, and again, like, I'm curious to know what you think about this because you're a pitcher, right? And you probably are going to feel the opposite way that I do. But like let's say the catcher sets up on the inside corner and the pitch ends up on the outside corner, catcher catches the ball like this, but it's still over the outside black. Like, is that still a strike to you? Like that's the part, like that's the baseball part of me where I'm like, no, he missed his spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's still a strike. Now, no, but look, it still matters though, right? Like the fact that the catcher is having to reach across his body is going to make it less likely to get called a strike on the field. And therefore now the onus is on the hitter of, do I waste a challenge right now to get this call? So it still matters. Like the point you're making is still going to come, like, because, anybody who's played baseball knows, right? Like a good catcher is not going to be flying all over back there to try to catch the ball because it's just going to make you less likely to get the call, right? Just human nature with the umpire. So, no, I think that stuff still matters, but no, Mike, the strike zone's the strike zone. That's how I look at it.
I don't know, man. Listen, all I'm saying, like, that happened against the Yankees one day, and it was like literally like reaching across like that, and the catcher goes, it was called the ball. The catcher went like this. I'm like, dude, you reached like all the way across your body. Are you kidding me?
But he knows the zones.
Yeah, but it was stupid. But listen, I agree with you. I think it's added an element to catcher defense.
What do you think strategically? I mean, because do you agree with me that teams should just be using them like crazy right now, or are you more conservative?
No, I mean, I agree with you in the sense that at least now at this point in the year, you probably should get a feel for, who has, a feel for the zone, who's, challenging out of emotion. Like that's the stuff that I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
I think I'm probably a little bit more conservative than you. Like, I don't want my leadoff hitter challenging two calls in the same at bat, and now I'm done for the game, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want
That
that.
exact scenario came up at the Twins. So I was at the Twins game last Thursday. It was the day game. It was I don't even remember who the Twins were. It was Twins Tigers. It was a day game, and Colt Keith, second pitch of the game, challenges it, loses his challenge, and my buddy who works for the Twins was laughing. He thought it was hilarious because it was. But I see the point with that. But to your point about players, right, and learning which guys are emotional about it, like there's a player on the Twins that he was saying, like, we're already having discussions about telling him he can't challenge anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
And I don't want to say any names or anything, but like he's like there are discussions happening about like maybe we need to tell that guy he's not allowed to because he's just like he doesn't know what he's doing.
Well,
I think that's fascinating. Like it's just from a baseball fan perspective.
Well, in a lot of the press conferences, you hear about that too, about how managers are going over it almost like film.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're looking at the ABS challenges. They're gonna be like, okay, like you see this pitch that you challenged? That like there's not an inch of that baseball that's off the plate. you know? So it does like I can appreciate it from both standpoints of like it kind of ego checks pitchers, catchers, hitters,
and umpires.
And umpires. Right.
Yeah.
It just does. Right. Who was it? Which umpire was it where he got like 6 calls overturned in one game?
CB Buckner. Yeah.
Was it CB Buckner?
Yeah.
Oh my God. You think that's going to cause like a thing? Like, do you think that has the potential to cause some sort of a deal with umpires, players?
There have been some umpires or umpire apologists, or I don't exactly know who have been complaining about it from the perspective of like, oh, well, umpires are going to get humiliated. And it's like, man, this is pro sports. Like that's part of what happens out here. Like the same thing happens to a pro athlete if they make a base running mistake. The same thing happens to a hitter if they strike out in a big spot, or a pitcher if they give up a walk-off home run. Like, that you're performing in an environment where people are watching you. And so if you get a bunch of calls wrong, objectively, you got a bunch of calls wrong. I don't know, be better.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might not like that. As I know you're an umpire apologist. So
I am 100%. Well, let me put it this way. You and I definitely have different views on umpires. But I've also my position on umpires really is less about them getting calls wrong. I know that umpires get calls wrong.
Yeah.
My issue is that the first people to know that an umpire gets a call wrong, at least good ones, if an umpire gets a call wrong, he knows he got the call wrong. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that, there's a human element to that I think needs a little bit more respect in that sort of sense. But again, I also am not a fan of the, high and mighty power trip umpire, which I know a lot of people hate.
I mean, and I think the ABS system as it is right now, the human element is still such a part of it too. Like so many emotionally driven decisions. It's fascinating.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that, and it's going to matter so much more in October when, there's a pitch that happens in the 8th inning that's off the plate and you ran out of challenges in the 6th, like tough shit. Like you're done, like that's just the way that it is, man. Be more careful. So I don't know. It's interesting, but it is a change that I genuinely like. By the way, the Yankees gave up 4 runs in the 4th inning and is now tied 4-4 with them and the Angels. It is, I'm telling you, they find ways to lose games. It is unreal. All right, let's do something fun. not like this entire show isn't fun, but let's take a look at some City Connect uniforms. So there are two that I despise, and I would say that there are three that I really, really like. And I'm curious to hear if we agree. So what do you think?
I think we're either going to be looking at this the same way, or we're going to be like perpendicular, like completely opposed.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean, do you want me to kind of give you like, let's just go one by one through them really quick,
Okay.
and kind of just go love or hate and why, and we can just go left to right, and we'll figure out pretty quickly where we land on this.
Okay. So let's start. So to the left of if you're listening, the first guy to the left, it's Wyatt Langford in a Texas Rangers uniform. Okay. Dalton, love or hate?
Hate
it.
Mike, this looks like a high school uniform.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I respect what they're doing with the whole Tejas and connecting with the Mexican culture. Like, I respect what they're trying to do, but like, can we show some creativity? This is the most boring uniform in baseball.
I agree with you 1,000%. I had high school uniforms that looked almost just like this. And for high school, it looks pretty good. For professional, it doesn't. This is a bad uniform. And let's just throw this out there too. The City Connect unis are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be a little flashy, right?
Yeah.
This looks like just a regular like road alternate. It just does. It's kind of lame. All right.
Yeah.
The next one is for the Milwaukee Brewers. That's Christian Yelich. It's the jersey with the Wisco on the front. Okay, Dalton, love or hate, or I'll throw like in there or indifferent or so. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat indifferent. I think I like what they're trying to do with, making it like a summer in Wisconsin theme. The video they put out with it was really cool about, the lakes and the bluffs and Wisconsin in the summer. And as somebody who lives in the upper Midwest and knows what it's like in the summer in this part of the country, like, totally appreciate what they're going for. That being said, it's a good looking uniform. The primary complaint from people in Wisconsin, and I can confirm this as somebody who lives 30 minutes from the state of Wisconsin, nobody says Wisco. It's not a thing.
Yeah. I'm the same as you. I think the concept is pretty cool. The jersey to me is a little underwhelming. Like I do wish. How many times have we seen the script lettering with the line underneath? I mean, that's just like generic baseball uniform font. I don't know. Like that's just a little boring to me, but I appreciate the concept behind it. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll say this too, that this is a massive improvement over their other one, in my opinion. Like this, like the hat, that MKE hat they wore was
that one stunk.
Hideous. Yeah, and I think this hat is a huge improvement.
Yeah. All right. The next one over is San Diego Padres. That's Jackson Merrill in the back. It's got like that navy blue-ish orange thing going on right there. Dalton, love or hate?
I love it. And I hate to say it, but I love it. This to me, there are two on here that I think stand above the rest, and this is one of them. The other concept that they had with the pink and the yellow and the bright blue or whatever it was, I thought was just doing a little too much.
I agree.
This is like they took that same concept and just made it elite, going with that blue and orange branding they used to have, going with the Dia de los Muertos thing. And I don't know if you saw the video they put out with it, but it talked about a whole bunch of like deceased former Padres. It was almost kind of like dark and harrowing. I love what they're doing here. I think it's one of the best. I hate that I love it because it's the Padres, but like this is an elite look top to bottom.
Yeah, no, it's a great uniform. This was one of the ones that I loved. Like I said, I loved three of them. This was the one that I loved. Yeah, I everything that you just said. I just think the colors are amazing. It's a really clean look. And this is for a team that like I think have some of the worst uniforms in all of sports. Just like that pea brown whatever thing they've got, like that's just awful. It's just awful. Like I don't. Their uniform looks dirty all the time. I don't know. I don't like it. But this one's clean. I like that look a lot. All right, so let's go next one over. In that white uniform, that's Cole Reagan's with the Kansas City Royals. Dalton, I got to be honest with you. This is another one of the ones that I absolutely love. This is hot. This one's hot.
I'm so glad you agree. I was worried that this is the one I was most interested to see how you felt about it. Because some people like think it's don't like. I love this, Mike. Especially, and I'll say this: I thought their first City Connect was one of the best, in my opinion.
Are you talking about like the navy blue with like the
kind of like the fountain theme with the KC?
Yes. That was so hot. Love that.
I thought it was awesome, and I think this is like such a perfect next step from that.
Yeah.
The color thing that they're doing. I don't know if you've ever been to a night game in Kansas City at Kauffman Stadium.
I haven't. I've been to a day game.
Okay, so at night the fountains are lit up in like this kind of light blue, and that light blue, as it fades into this purple sky as it gets dark in Kansas City, it's really cool. And that's what they're doing with this uniform. And I love that it's different. It still works as a baseball uniform. Like, it looks like a baseball uniform. This is just awesome. Elite. I'm going to buy that hat. I love that hat.
I was about to say the same thing. That is that's one of the best baseball hats I've ever seen. That's an insanely nice baseball hat. And yeah, I agree with you. I think the Royals get it right a lot with their uniform. I genuinely enjoy a lot of their uniform choices. All right. Hunter Green in the back for the Cincinnati Reds. Again, it's a lot of red, right? But I'm a sucker for red. I kind of fall on the I like it and they could do a little bit more, but that's just because I'm a sucker for red. I like red unis. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's fine. I kind of thought the black ones that said Cincy were a little bit cooler.
Those were way cooler. Yeah.
But I do like what they're doing where they're saying, hey, here's an alternative version of that same branding. And what they're doing is they're wearing the black ones on Fridays and these ones on Saturdays. I think that's fun. I heard somebody make the point that they were like, hey, you're not the blacks, you're the reds, right? So coming out in red on red on red makes sense. It's fine. I don't have super strong feelings about it.
Yeah, like I said, I love the color red. I love red uniforms. I love that. I love the fact that they're embracing the red. Like it's cool. That's the part for me that's cool. So it's fine.
Yeah.
Adley Rutschman. This is the Baltimore Orioles. The B more with the bird over the R. I think it's a little stupid. But I think it's a little stupid, but it's not terrible, I guess. What do you think?
I think if the jersey didn't say "Be More," this could be elite. But like the jersey saying "Be More" is just weird, man. Like,
it's stupid.
Like just have it say Baltimore. Just spell it out and change the level. Like, it could be really cool. That being said, there are so many details of this uniform that I think are really cool. Like the hat and the alternate hats that you can like buy online that are similar to it. Like, it's very clearly kind of a Camden Yards themed uniform. From what I understand, that B on the hat is like on the sides of the seats at Camden Yards. So like when you're entering a row, you see that B. And like the whole thing is kind of themed for the ballpark in a way that I think is really cool. So I love the concept of what they're doing, but I think the "Be More" word mark is kind of not great. But I will say I'm somebody who strongly prefers that old bird to the new cartoonish bird, and I love that that's involved here.
Yeah, I think that's a cool little feature. Like, if this was just like if it just had a B or an O and the bird sitting on top of it, that would have been way cooler. For me.
Sure. Yeah.
But I think the B more kills it. I really do. I really think that that's what makes it bad. All right.
It's similar to the Wisco thing where it's like nobody says that.
Right. All right. That's Paul Skeens for the Pittsburgh Pirates. What do you think? Love or hate for these Pirates City Connects? What do you think?
I think these are awesome. I think they're way better than the PGH ones they had before. I think these are really cool, especially like a night game in Pittsburgh. And it's just, I love that they brought back the Bucko, the pirate head logo on the head. I love that. I wish the hat was black and they just went black head to toe with it. I think that'd be really cool. I also think this is one of those City Connects that's like bound to, in 2027, they're going to replace the black pants with white pants and it's going to look way better. I think we're going to see that happen. But in general, I think this is awesome. The pirate theme has never really made a ton of sense in Pittsburgh to me, but lean into it. Why not? It's a really cool jersey.
I despise it.
I
hate it. This is the other one that I absolutely hate. First of all, the first thing I want to point out, what is that pink Nike logo doing up there?
It's red.
That's pink. Yeah, that's red.
Yeah, it's red.
No, that looks pink to me. Look at
you got to pull up a new. You got to pull up a different image of it. It's red.
Like that. If I'm looking at that Nike logo compared to Hunter Green's jersey, that looks pink.
No, it's red. It's themed like the bandana on the pirate.
But I just think it's a little lame. I do. They made it the lettering made to look like the sail of a pirate ship. I think is dumb. I don't know. They could have just. I think they could have done so much better with this. Honestly, I really do. The one thing I do appreciate about it, at least, like you said, is the old Bucko. I do think that logo is, refreshing to see, but everything else about it, I despise it. I really, really don't like it at all. Not appealing.
Yeah, I think that one just hits our eyes a little bit differently. Mike, I have takes that I need to get off my chest about Atlanta.
All right, so the Atlanta Braves. This is Ronald Acuna. The Atlanta Braves uni. What do you think?
Okay, there are two competing thoughts here for me. Okay, like strictly from an aesthetic perspective, it's a great looking uniform. Okay, I'm not going to say it's not, but this is not a City Connect, Mike. Like, this is a throwback. This is a throwback template. It's a throwback Atlanta font. It's a throwback A. They've done it before. Like, to me, the whole point of the City Connect jersey or the City Connect uniform is to come up with something we haven't seen, come up with some other iteration, come up with something that connects you to Atlanta. Atlanta is a city that offers you a million different directions you could go there. A million directions. Like, they could have done something peach themed. They could have done something like it related to the Heat in Atlanta theme. Like, there's so many directions they could have gone here. And to me, this is just like, nope, let's just rehash these old logos because we know that this is going to sell well. Look, I want to separate my thoughts on it as a City Connect from it as a uniform. It's a great looking uniform. It's a really cool hat. I get it. But like, this is not a City Connect. This is a throwback.
Yeah. So that's a way that I hadn't looked at it. That's definitely fair. I know a lot of people in Atlanta love the lowercase a, like they love that look as a uniform. This is another, by the way, this is another one of the ones that I really, really liked. It was this one, San Diego and Kansas City, that I really, really liked. The thing that is intriguing me the most about it is that this isn't a jersey, it's a t-shirt. There's no buttons.
Yeah.
So that's another element to this that I think gives it a little bit more character, right? But I think in your, like, kind of what you said, it is very throwbacky. And that's something that I think the Braves certainly over the last number of years have really kind of leaned into. They've leaned into those retro looks that they've kind of come accustomed to. I honestly, just from my perspective, I think the Braves have some of the best uniforms in baseball, period. I just love,
agree.
I think they have one of the best uniforms in baseball. And I think adding this to the collection is just absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of, but listen, your gripe with it, I think, is completely understandable. I really do. Like that is 100% a fair point.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a great uniform. We've seen the Braves do this over and over. Like, yeah, right. I've seen that Atlanta script. I've seen that lowercase a. It's great, right, but it's a throwback. It's not a City Connect. So yeah, right. I mean, but no, I agree with you on what the Braves wear standard. Like, when you think outside of the like Dodgers, Yankees timelessness, right? Like that,
Yeah, right.
that category.
Mhm.
When you look at the non-timeless category, the Braves home uniforms with like the multicolored piping and the tomahawk, those are top tier.
Incredible. Yep, incredible. All right, so before we start talking about again, and we're running long, so we'll make it quick. Um, how are we looking in our ultimate team draft, Dalton? How do we stand right now in our team draft?
Yeah, I went through it earlier today. So this is not updated with any results from today, to be clear. Do you want I mean I can go through the teams, but I don't think it makes sense to go team by team. People can look at
No,
the
no, no,
standings if
no.
they want to.
Yeah,
The main highlights here, Mike, you've got some teams that are really dragging you down, unfortunately for you.
yeah.
Um, so I don't have a single team with fewer than 7 wins out of my 15.
Oh God.
You have the Rockies, the White Sox, the Giants, the Astros, the Red Sox, and the Blue Jays, who are all sitting at only 6 wins. So that's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The 7 worst records in baseball are all yours.
That's amazing.
So, and to be fair, when I sent you the text about, hey, let's do an update on this, I didn't know whether I was winning or losing. This was not planned in this way. But I went and looked through it. So far, my teams have a combined 123 wins. Your teams have a combined 110. A lot of season left. This could turn, but I'm pretty happy with my early lead.
I'm sure you are. And we're going to find out, by the way, if this lead, over the course of the year, like if digging a hole this deep is what's going to kill me for the rest of the season, we'll see. Like it's, the way that we're doing this is a lot like how these actual teams are doing this. You lose a bunch of games in April that could really come back to bite you in September. So,
Yeah.
we'll see if that happens. What are we looking forward to this week, Dalton? Let's take a look at some of the series coming up this week. What's a series that you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I mean, I'll go with one from the weekend and one midweek. During the week, I mean, Mets Dodgers is certainly intriguing because obviously these are two teams that are expected to be there right near the end of the National League, right? But for the Mets and their fans at 7-9, it feels like things are teetering more than they probably are.
Yeah.
We talked about this a little bit early in the show. Like if they get swept in LA, the voices are going to get loud. And it doesn't get easier because after that they go to Chicago. So I think the Mets this week in general are one of the more interesting teams to watch because them and the Yankees are both ice cold, but the Mets are ice cold going into a tough road trip. The Yankees are ice cold coming into a pretty cushy homestand.
Right.
The other series that I would mention coming up this weekend, Orioles Guardians. Like it's not one that I think a ton of people are going to talk about, but the Guardians come into today tied for the best record in the league, despite having a really tough schedule so far. They've already played on the road in Seattle, LA, and Atlanta. And they're tied for the best record in the American League. They've been great. So, them and the Orioles this weekend, a couple teams trying to prove themselves as contenders. I think that's a series to watch as well. There are some other good ones too, but those are the two that stuck out to me.
Yeah. So interestingly, you bring up the Mets because of what they've got to deal with this week. They have to deal with the Dodgers and the Cubs this week. I'm obviously looking at that too, but I'm also looking at the Cubs. Like I think the Cubs this week have quite the week ahead of them too. They're playing at Philadelphia, and then again they play at home against the Mets. And this is a team, again, you and I both had really high expectations about the Cubs, and they're 7-8. So, like, it's not like they've had really a great start to the season either. So I am really looking at that Cubs-Phillies series as two teams that we thought, I mean, you and I were, like, certain that the Cubs and Phillies were top 5 teams in baseball heading into the season. And they've, again, super early, but they're both 7-8. They've both kind of been underwhelming to start the season. I want to see who gets themselves who can get themselves a little bit more on track through that series as well. And again, like I said, Mets Cubs is another one I'm looking at as well for those same sort of reasons. If the Cubs come off, of a nice series against the Phillies. Can they continue that against the Mets, or, vice versa? If the Mets actually put up against a good competitive series against the Dodgers, can they carry that over into a series against the Cubs on the road? It's those kind of things that I'm looking for this week also. So,
yeah, absolutely. Mike, by the way, Trent Grisham, 3-run homer just now.
3-run homer, 7-4. Jeez Louise. You know what? The Yankees might actually win. It's frightening. Oh my God. Anyway, Dalton, we have let's do hot corner. Let's get out of here. What do you have for hot corner?
Yeah, I'm kind of riding the wave with the Pirates right now. I like the only games left tonight are the A's and the Rangers and the Dodgers and the Mets. I don't really want to give out anything in any of those games. Just looking at a game tomorrow, Pirates with Mitch Keller hosting Miles Mikolas and the Nationals. Miles Mikolas has been horrendous. He's been 12.4 ERA. Mitch Keller pitching to an ERA of 1 so far. These are two teams heading in opposite directions right now. I think the Pirates are kind of feeling their momentum. They have 15 runs tonight. So this is an offense that's hot. I want to continue to back them tomorrow. They're pretty significant favorites, but if you're willing to lay the 1.5 with them, you can get plus 125 odds. So right. I think the Pirates on the run line tomorrow to win by at least 2 runs is worth a look. I also think team totals aren't up yet, but if that team total gets posted at 4.5 for Pittsburgh, I think they're going to score a bit with the way their offense is going. But the official pick will be Pirates minus 1.5. I am 0-1 on the show so far this season.
Oh, no.
Yeah, Roki Sasaki against the Guardians. And that game, I had a Yurfie, and they put up zeros.
There we go. See, listen, they can't all be winners, but again, for somebody like you, Dalton, I think you're going to hit plenty. You're going to hit plenty. If somebody really wants to make some money, I think somebody can. I think it would be smart for somebody to tune into this program. Anyway, you're ABSing yourself, Dalton, in a way, right?
Yeah.
Just says keeping himself honest. That's it. All righty, that does it for us. That's Dalton Brown. I'm Mike Guido. This is the Bicoastal Baseball Podcast. Really quick, I know. I think. I would imagine our next show is probably just going to be next week. But do you know our next show falls on 2 very important days? One of them is 420. The other one is episode.
Wow.
It's episode 6-7.
Wow. So next week is like the ultimate brain rot episode.
We are full
baseball.
We are
420, 6-7. Wow. It's Dodgers Rockies in Denver that night for the 4th game of that series. So big things happen.
Full Bicoastal brain rot comes at you next week. All right. We'll see you next week. This is Bicoastal Baseball exclusively on the Grid Network. We'll see you.